So we'll just start off with today's proceedings, and today being the 100th webinar, we have Dr. M.U. Ashwath along with the speaker of the day, Dr. M.P. Mutturaj, to interact with all the professionals. In fact, today is the day when we are completing the 100 webinars, and I am sure that the series of 100 webinars that we had over the few days would have been useful to all the construction professionals because it was on various topics. Now let me introduce the panelists of the day. Today we have the speaker Dr. M.P. Mutturaj, who is presently working as assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering. And we have our chief guest today. Before I go into the details of the speaker of the day, we have our chief guest, Dr. M.U. Ashwath, from Association of Consulting Civil Engineers India. And he would also be joining us. He has already joined us, and he would be giving a address to all of us from on behalf of Association of Consulting Civil Engineers India, Bangalore Center. And let me just give you a brief overview, because Ramco Cements, who has been instrumental in conducting so many awareness programs, has also number of cement products ranging from PPC, PSC, OPC, SRC, and rapid handling Portland cement. And we have these cements for various applications. Like say, for example, we have the Ramco Supercrete cement for specifically for concreting of individual house buildings as well as various concreting applications. The PPC, which is having a high rate of gain of strength as well as low heat of hydration. And then we have the PSC cements. We have the ordinary Portland cement for various RMC units for longer slump retention, as well as we have the sulfate resistant cement. And we have a cement for precast application. So this is the kind of products that we are having. Of course, all this has been made possible because of the continuous coordination with the construction professionals, as well as our Ramco Research and Development Center and our plant. And we have also the dry mix range of products for various non-structural applications. Of course, most of you would have visited our Ramco Research and Development Center earlier, and where we have been doing a lot of trials on various concrete mixes of various grades of various requirements. So that is what all about our Ramco Research Development Center, and we have the latest equipments there, which tests the quality of various blending materials, as well as the various concrete grades which are customized to the requirements of concreting applications. So with those few words, let me welcome Dr. Ashwath. Ashwath sir, you are there?
Yes, sir.
You are there. Okay. Let me just give a brief introduction of Dr. M.U. Ashwath before I give it to him for the special address. He is the Director Principal at Bangalore Institute of Technology, Bangalore, and he is also the National President of Association of Consulting Civil Engineers India, ACCEI. He is the Bureau Head Bangalore for SME World New Delhi, Technical Advisor for RMCMA. In fact, he had also joined us for various webinars, specifically on RMCMA and other aspects as well. He was instrumental in organizing number of webinars and ensuring that number of professionals join this awareness programs. And he joined Rotary in the year 2009, and he took up the presidentship in 2012-13. Dr. Ashwath has published more than 100 papers at national and international journals, conferences, and he has conducted 300 workshops, seminars for professionals, faculty, students for knowledge dissemination. He has received many awards. He has received Achievement Award for Outstanding Academician, CIDC Vishwakarma Award 2014, and a number of awards are there which has been given by Planning Commission, Government of India, and he has been felicitated by the Honorable Chief Minister and for editing the manual and various other kind of professional works he has done in the field of civil engineering. He has been given the Eminent Engineer Award by ACCEI Bangalore, and he was felicitated during the Engineers Day celebration, September 2011. And as far as the speaker is concerned, today's speaker, Dr. M.P. Mutturaj, he is working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at Coimbatore Institute of Technology, Coimbatore, India. He lectures on the subject Theory of Elasticity and Plasticity, Stability of Structures, Finite Element Method, Design of Bridges, and Advanced Concrete Design at the postgraduate level. Dr. M.P. Mutturaj has 4 years of field experience from July 2000 as Assistant Engineer, Tamil Nadu Highways Department. He executed and designed several projects like construction of rural roads, public buildings, roads under PMGSY up to July 2004. As a faculty of civil engineering at Coimbatore Institute of Technology, Coimbatore, he has undertaken several consultancy works in the area of concrete technology and non-destructive testing, The concrete mix design and non-destructive testing done for various organizations such as Larsen & Toubro, IOCL, MES, Airport Authority of India, Southern Railway, Tamil Nadu Electricity Board, and most of the private like Shapurji Palanji and public sector companies. He did several designs for multi-storied buildings, retaining walls, water tanks for governments, public and private sector. He was also involved in the design of footbridge for Air Force at Race Course, pipe carrying bridges at Tanjavur, box culvert at Coimbatore Airport, skew bridge at Wellington, suspension bridge at Vilupuram. So these are some of the credentials of the speaker of the day. And let me just invite Dr. M.U. Ashwath for his address. Over to you, sir. Ashwath, sir. And welcome to this 100th webinar.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this landmark presentation by Muthu Raj 100th webinar by Ramco Cements. I'm very happy here to be part of this process because Ramco Cements is the first organization which took lead during the lockdown period in conducting the webinars. In fact, the first few webinars of our association also we were conducted through the jointly with Ramco Cements. And I'm sure it has been a great learning experience. I'm definitely sure thousands of participants have definitely benefited out of these webinars. And the kind of experts that you have rolled in for these kind of webinars are some of the best in the country. And I'm very happy that Ramco is doing a great service to the profession. Organizing webinars many times it is very simple, but I'm personally involved in organizing a few of the webinars. It takes a lot of time in planning, coordinating with the experts, and managing the complete session. And looking at you have become a marathon runner in this, and I'm sure you have spent a lot of time on this. And through the sessions, you have to listen to all the sessions. Being a moderator, it is not easy. Every time you should be constantly focusing on what the speaker speaks and what kind of questions the participants will ask. You have to make a summary of that, and then you have to coordinate and conclude the session. So it is a huge responsibility, and I'm sure you've done this job excellently well, and I compliment from the Association of Consulting Civil Engineers you and your organization, Ramco Cements, for such a wonderful knowledge learning journey. And that is one. Apart from this, also Ramco Cements has been kind enough to support the professional activities that Association of Consulting Civil Engineers has been doing over the years in disseminating the knowledge to the professionals. So the role of the professional bodies and role of the industry is now gradually becoming more and more important. And earlier we used to compare with the Western countries where they have a close network or close association of the professionals and the organizations. Now in India also we are seeing that there is a clean understanding between the organizations and the professionals, and it is not just business and it is not just making money. Beyond that, as a responsible organizations, responsible citizens of this country, we have a great deal to give it back to the society and making the society a better place to live in. So in that angle, I think Ramco Cements has been very kind enough to doing a lot of things in association with the professional bodies, whether it is ACC or ICI or any other institution of engineers. In fact, you have been doing and maintaining a good relationship between all the organizations and professional bodies. That is a great thing to be noted. So in conclusion, I will not take much time. In conclusion, you have been doing a great service to the construction industry and also to the professional knowledge sharing arena. You please continue doing this, and whatever support is required from the professional bodies like ICI or ACC, we're always there. Especially now, I'm a part of Association of Consulting Civil Engineers. We extend complete support to Ramco Cements in this knowledge journey, and together we will make a better place to live in for all the construction professionals in the days to come. With these few words, I thank once again the special compliments and congratulations to Anil Kumar and his entire team, the back-end team which manages the hosting part and all those things, the complete team who are involved in organizing these 100 webinars definitely deserves a round of applause to all of them. And please convey my regards and all our regards to all the complete organizing team in this regard. In fact, various places, not just in Bangalore, Chennai, or major metros, you have been quite active in getting all the people together in all the across the country, and that is a very good sign. Normally, these kind of sessions people take it in metros, but now we have moved into the tier 2 and tier 3 cities also. That is another great thing that you have done. And from my personal behalf and on behalf of the ACCE, I compliment all the team members of your organizing committee. Great greetings, and I should thank all the experts, the speakers for all the 100 episodes. They've done a great service to the society, especially during this pandemic. It cannot be measured. What you have done with all these great experts, it cannot be measured in any scale. So it goes beyond measurable limits, and I'm sure the effect of this will be seen in the construction industry in the days to come. At least many of them who are not into the day-to-day activities of that area also get motivated, and definitely their area of interest and their area of work will definitely expand in different directions. So you have helped all the professionals in a great deal during this lockdown period and all these days. And thank you once again, and I wish you all the best to you and to your organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashwath, for that motivating talk. And I am sure that, as you rightly said, in fact, Association of Consulting Civil Engineers has been a great support for us. Especially most of the speakers, that Mr. Shashank Sharma of Bangalore and Mr. Suraj Kumar, who is the host, both of them had worked in coordination with the various branches of ACCEI in Karnataka chapter, and even ACCEI Hyderabad also came forward. So ACCEI centers across the country, most of them have supported. In fact, there were specific topics also like water retaining structures, and you also spoke about the RMCMA quality, this thing, and the need for RMC to maintain a professional quality standards through certification. And in fact, that was explained so clearly. I'm sure that most of the professionals would have taken it. So there was wide range of topics, even on repair and rehabilitation. So as you rightly pointed out, even for the budding civil engineers, there is a lot of opportunities, in fact, because the budding civil engineers can have a lot of options, ranging from smart cities to sustainability in concrete to repair and rehabilitation, to the new development of using drones in civil engineering, and so many options are there. In fact, there is a lot of possibilities that have opened up, and I'm sure that civil engineers, because of all the experts that you rightly pointed out, the 100th expert is today Dr. Mutturaj today with us, and I'm sure that all these experts would have opened up new avenues for most of the people. So that was really, very heartening. And let me not take much of the time, and let me invite Dr. Mutturaj, and let me thank Dr. Ashwath for the support. And over to you, Dr. Mutturaj. You can share your presentation.
Just like to add,
yeah, please.
All our major programs, when we were doing physically, if we get 800 participants, that is a huge and grand success. And I've seen some of the webinars that we organized, especially our Mysore program and water retaining structures and other things. The viewers at a time, it crossed 5,000. So it is an impossible task physically to organize the logistics for 5,000 plus people. And especially that Mysore Centers program, Ragi, we crossed almost 6,000 participants simultaneously. So that is a grand success. So thank you once again for all that you are doing.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, the geotechnical engineering, that seminar, 3-day seminar, it's a memorable one. In fact, where experts you had organized from various places, both practitioners and academicians. In fact, that is the kind of bridge that we need to bring together, as rightly pointed out by you. In fact, this pandemic has opened up new opportunity for bridging that gap between practice and theory. I think that is very important, and that I think to a certain extent we have been able to do it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. And over to Dr. Mutturaj for your presentation on concept of earthquake resistant structures. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. On this moment, I congratulate Ramco Siemens for 100th seminar for this period, COVID period. Thanks everyone. Thanks all the organizers, especially Suraj Kumar and their team, for giving me this opportunity to tell something about what is earthquake resistant design. The first thing I'll tell that actually now I think it will be participants around 500. Maybe most of them are practicing civil engineers. So I'll tell that what are all the important things or important aspects that we need to cover and to understand the concept of earthquake resistant design, basically from the field point of view. So that I'll take my presentation in three parts. The first part I'll explaining you what is structural dynamics is all about. The second part I'll be telling that what is the how earthquake will happen, actually the signs of the earthquake. And after learning about what is signs of the earthquake, to some extent we'll be learning the engineering of the earthquake. And finally, I'll tell that if time permits, how we can design. So this is the way that I want to present. First, let us try to understand what is structural dynamics is all about. So dynamics is all we know that it is a basic branch of mechanics. We will have two parts of mechanics. One is statics, another one is dynamics. But here the structural dynamics is somewhat has to understood by the civil engineers, because mostly we will be working always with static structures. So when the structure is undergoing vibration, how it behaves, that is the thing that we have to understand. So directly we cannot go and analyze the structure, that is not at all possible. So first let us try to understand what is dynamics is all about, what all the things are necessary for us, and then we can understand. So here you can see that the force is defined as force is a function of time.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Can we load the PPT? It's not visible yet, sir.
It's not visible?
No, sir. You'll have to use the third button, which is share.
Yes.
Okay, now it's getting loaded.
It's okay.
It would take. I can see your desktop, sir. Can we go to the PPT, please? Yeah, I see your PPT. Can we click on? Yeah, thank you. Please go.
Now it's visible.
Yeah. I think already I told something about the basics. I think directly I'll go to this slide. Okay, sir. It's okay.
Yes, sir.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's visible.
Okay. Right, sir. Usually, civil engineers normally we will take the total equilibrium. That's total net moment is always zero. Net force is zero. That's what force equilibrium. That entire structure, whatever the structure that we are designing, it may be an apartment, it may be any building. That normally will take total sum of the forces, sum of the moments as zero. That's what the basic equilibrium. But whereas here it is not so. Force is a function of time. So that we need to understand. What time will do on force? Force is a function of time that normally will be equating with mass into acceleration due to gravity, that is m into g. Now here in the dynamic concept, it is not that there m into g is there. Apart from m into g, there are two other components that we have to take. Here, because force is a function of time, so g is the acceleration due to ground. So the acceleration due to ground, it is not only ground, any acceleration. It may be machine foundation, it may be of anything. For any nature that we can apply the acceleration. So the mass is an important thing. So you can see that in this diagram, mass is there, stiffness is there, force is function of time. So force is function of time is subjected to mass into acceleration. But what is very, very important, this is alone not sufficient for us. So that we have to understand that entire system, what will happen. Actually, I told you that you can see that here, there is a force is a function of time. On the other side, you have two things. One on the left side, you can see that k into x. That is what we are calling it a static equilibrium. When you are equating the force, which is not a function of time, that is equal to k into u or x. X or u, anything that is we can take. But what is very, very important, that k is stiffness, u is displacement. Stiffness into displacement is force, that is static equilibrium. Mass into u double dot. U double dot is nothing but acceleration due to gravity, that is d square u by dt square or dv by dt. Anything what you take, that is nothing but mass into acceleration is a dynamic equilibrium. So what we have to understand, that first we have to understand basically we have to convert ourselves from the static equilibrium to dynamic equilibrium. You can see an equation is there on the bottom. That equation is known as dynamic equilibrium equation. This dynamic equilibrium equation is also known as D'Alembert principle. What is D'Alembert principle is nothing but mu double dot plus k into E is equal to f of t. And this is also known as mu double dot plus k into u is equal to f of t is known as free vibration. Free vibration without damping. Actually, there are 4 types of vibrations are there. But everyone has to understand first vibration system, that is free vibration without damping. Free vibration without damping is nothing but scanning. So what is, suppose for example, for a human body, how you are, so normally what people will do that whenever you are entering into the hospital, people always will take you. What is your temperature, body temperature? What is your heart rate? What is your pulse rate? So these are the basics first. After that only they'll be asking you what is the problem that you have. Similarly, when you want to scan any building, or when you want to understand what is the building, first always you have to use this equation, because a free vibration without damping alone will give you basic behavior of a structure. Basic behavior of the structure has to be understood by natural frequency. Natural frequency is denoted as omega. Omega always you have to find. For any building, always we have to find natural frequency. Apart from this, there are 3 other vibrations are also there. They are known as, you can see that here in this slide, you can see that omega is equal to root of k by m. Omega is always associated with stiffness and mass. Stiffness is inherent property of the structure. Mass is also inherent property of the structure. So externally, no load will induce or will increase or decrease your natural frequency. Natural, you can understand that. Frequency is a term. Naturally, what is the frequency? That always you have to estimate. So like what are the properties and behaviors that you have in your human body? Your pulse rate, your heart rate entirely depends on your body, how your body is there. Similarly, what is the weight? From weight you can convert it into mass. Then k is nothing but stiffness. Stiffness depends on material property and geometric property. Material property is known as modulus of elasticity, because we will be designing the structure as linear, static and elastic structure. So for linear and elastic structures, you can easily find what is k, ei by l. So E is nothing but modulus of elasticity, I is nothing but geometry, L is length. So everything is depending only on the inherent property and inherent behavior of the structure. So always we have to spend some time on how that we can find the natural frequency. So natural frequency is always very, very important. But what we have to do that directly we cannot go and find the natural frequency of any building. So before going into the finding the natural frequency, first let us try to understand the basics of dynamics. So basics of the dynamics, when you are thinking that the dynamic, that basically it starts vibrating, then whatever the maximum displacement that is called as displacement. Actually, displacement is of 2 types. I think all we know that it is translation and rotation. Very important. Rotation is also important. Translations produces forces, rotation produces moment, as we all know that. You usually will be finding m5 curves, p delta curves or p delta curves. So whenever you are interested in finding what is the displacement, whether it is a rotation or it is a translation, here in dynamics same only, translation is same, but the translation here it is called as amplitude of vibration, because it is a time dependent. So for any time dependent motion or any time dependent vibration, always you have to estimate what is the amplitude. Amplitude of the vibration is very, very important. Usually in earthquake problems, we will be restricting the amplitude of vibration to 10 millimeter. Whatever the building you have, horizontally it shakes. When horizontally it shakes, so how much amplitude do you want to limit? That you have to learn, because here the curve is shown in the horizontal direction. Actually, you have to verify what is the horizontal displacement. Horizontal displacement always you have to find. That horizontal displacement is called as amplitude of vibration. The amplitude of vibration. After that, you can estimate what is the period. Period means how many cycles of vibration it undergoes your structure. Usually in terms of hertz, it will be. Yeah, and these are the definitions one has to understand. Degree of freedom is always very, very important. When you are thinking about the degree of freedom is very simple. It is the definition normally people used in static. In statics, degree of freedom is known as the number of independent. That's what very important. The number of independent possible displacements. Possible displacements are translations and required. So the number of independent possible translations and rotations required to define the deformed shape of the structure is known as degrees of freedom. That is by static structure. because the earthquake is a horizontal force. Earthquake will happen, which will hit your structure at the bottom. So horizontally, when it hits, what will happen on the sideways? That you have to understand. So usually we'll be taking up the horizontal degree of freedom rather than the vertical degree of freedom. But if you are taking into the vertical degree of freedom, also it is fine only. But only thing that you have to estimate and evaluate that what will happen in the horizontal direction. Horizontally, how much amplitude of vibration is there? How you have to resist? How many number of cycles of vibrations are there? For that, always you have to understand that what are the basics and the basic definitions with reference to the dynamics. So degrees of freedom is very important. Then vibration, then periodic motion. Periodic motion is nothing but a sinusoidal curve or any particular curve. So that will not happen with the reference to earthquake. But to understand the basics, you should know what is it. Then stiffness is known to us. It is the load required to produce the unit deformation. That's what the stiffness. Then time period. Time period is constant. Amplitude of vibration will be always different, but time period will be constant. Suppose, for example, if a structure is undergoing for 7 cycles of vibration, for each cycle, time period will be constant. It may be 1 minute or 1.5 minutes. At this moment, I can tell you that the maximum possible vibration will happen within 30 seconds. So over the period of 30 seconds, how many cycles of vibration? If your time period is 3 seconds, then 10 cycles of vibration will be there. If your time period is 1 second, 30 cycles of vibration your structure will undergo. So based on the time period, you can find the frequency and natural frequency and all these things. Then logarithmic decrement, it's very, very important because all our structures will have damping. Because damping is the inherent property. Again, that is also inherent property. There are 3 important inherent property in a structure. First, I told you about mass, then you have stiffness, then third one is damping. So mass, stiffness, and damping are very, very important for any structure. So thereby, when the damping is there, then the number of cycles of vibration will be slowed down. So instead of going for 30 cycles of vibration, the structure will undergo 10 or 5 cycles of vibration. So as far as the structure is being concerned, we have to evaluate what is damping. So the damping percentage will be 5% for RCC structures and 2% for steel structures. That is available in IS code. But what we have to understand that damping. So if you are including the damping in your analysis, it is called as a damped vibration. So I told you already that you have 4 different types of analysis. That is, you can see that in this slide. That is mu double dot plus cu dot plus k into is equal to f of t. So this is the generalized expression. Generalized equation of motion is known as mu double dot plus cu dot plus k into is equal to f of t. When cu dot and f of t is 0, it is called as a free vibration. Free vibration without damping. And when f of t is equal to 0, it is called as free vibration with damping. Then you have free vibration with force. Then similarly, forced vibration. That is forced vibration without damping, forced vibration with damping. So there are 4 different types of classifications are there that one has to understand. So now let us try to understand that. Before going into that, what are the important components are there? That is damping. After that, you see that vibration is common. It may be happen with the machines and the buildings everywhere, even in towers, wind force, many things can cause vibration. But what we have to do that we have to idealize the structure, because when we do a mathematical model, we have to idealize. The structure has to be idealized. When you are going for an idealization, you can see that there are 3 components are there in a massless tower. You can see that mass is the weight of the tower. Then U is the displacement, horizontal displacement. That's what I told you initially. The horizontal displacement is always very important. The horizontal displacement or amplitude of the vibration is always important. And then stiffness. But here I can tell you that I think if you are very strong in your structural engineering or basics of structural analysis, you know mass is equal to stiffness into displacement is equal to force. From that, when you are having this degree of freedom, that is 1 degree of freedom, you can see that here. So when you are having 1 degree of freedom, your stiffness is known as 12 by L power 3. So always you have to evaluate, because it is a single degree of freedom system. I can tell you answer easily. But for example, you are having 12-storied building, so you have 12 degrees of freedom. So for each and every degree of freedom, you have to evaluate what is stiffness. So stiffness has to be evaluated. Stiffness for 1 floor, 2 floors are very easy, whereas beyond 3 or 4 degrees of freedom, it will be difficult. You have to evaluate. So for that, I'll tell you that how that can be evaluated. You can see this in this diagram. You have force. Force is a function of time. There are 3 other forces are there. Force due to displacement, force due to velocity, force due to acceleration. Force due to displacement is known as K into U. Force due to velocity is C into U dot. M into U double dot is nothing but force due to acceleration. So all those things are. Now let us come for a single degree of freedom system. So when you are thinking about the single degree of freedom system, for any single degree of freedom system, always I told you about that you have to evaluate what is natural frequency. Natural frequency of the system always you have to evaluate. So when you are evaluating the natural frequency, what is the type of equation that you have? I told you already mu double dot plus k into u is equal to 0. So which means that mu double dot, u double dot. So it is a second order differential equation. So one has to be very strong in the second order differential equation to solve the problem, to find the natural frequency of the system. We are not talking about what is the earthquake force and what is the other aspects of the seismic forces. To understand the basic behavior of the structure itself, mathematically one has to be very strong in the solving the second differential equation. Second order differential equation, when you are solving for amplitude, it has two components. One is complementary function, another one is particular integral. So for any problem, always you have to find what is the particular integral and what is the complementary function. Once you are able to solve this problem only, you can complete this. So a simple example of the water tank I am showing here. So for this water tank, you can see that it is made it is a huge tower. In this huge tower, you have huge weight is there, water tank, because it may be 5 lakh liter or 2 lakh liter capacity. Huge amount of weight is being stored at the top. So you have a considerable mass and stiffness. What is stiffness is given by the column. Based on that, you can evaluate what is it. So you can see that in the last diagram, mass spring damper system, you have force, then mass, you have mu double dot, cu dot, and k into u. Using all these things, you can see that this equation already I explained. So finally, you can find what is omega. Omega is nothing but root of k by n. Once you solve this equation, you can find omega. Omega is nothing but natural frequency. Natural frequency is given by the equation root of k by n. These are the examples of single degree of freedom system. I think next I will pass on to the multiple degrees of freedom system. So multiple degrees of freedom system, it is actually, if you are strong in the mathematics, it will be easy for you. Because already I told that force equal to stiffness into displacement. So the stiffness you can solve, displacements you can solve by means of stiffness. Once you know what is the stiffness, you can find easily displacements by taking the inverse of the k inverse into f is nothing but u. So when you are interested in finding u, usually you will be solving by matrix. So here the matrix will be three matrices: mass matrix, damping matrix, and stiffness matrix. So you have to combine all the three matrices and solve it. That's all. So it is important for one when you are going for a multiple degree of freedom system to solve for stiffness. To solve for the displacement or natural frequency. First, you have to find the natural frequency. Once you know the natural frequency, you can find the displacement. So to solve for the natural frequency, always it is very, very important for you to understand how you can evaluate the property. The evaluation that is basically with the mathematics. So mathematically, you have to be very strong in finding the natural frequencies. You can see that the first diagram will have 3 degrees of freedom in the horizontal direction. And the second diagram you can see on the left side, you have 5 degrees of freedom system. So these are all the examples, common examples. These are all the horizontally you have displacements. To be exact, it is translation. There are translation in the horizontal direction in the first diagram and the second diagram. The third one, it is rotation. Rotation, you can see that it is a beam, cantilever beam, which rotates in the direction or a plane perpendicular to it. MZ will happen. So free vibration, as I told you already, free vibration, and this is what very, very important. For any free vibration, we have 3 types of damping systems. They are known as underdamped, critically damped, and overdamped system. Most of the concrete and steel structures are underdamped systems. So underdamped systems will have a value of something around 0.05 or 0.02, as I told you earlier. So for underdamped system, you should know that how to evaluate how many cycles of vibration is possible. That's what because I told you already, time period will be constant. Time period for a particular vibration is always constant. Only amplitude is a variable. So the constant part of the time period always you have to evaluate. Then what is the frequency of occurrence of your earthquake or at your place? Because the earthquake vibrations will be different at different places. Anyway, I'll come back when I discuss about earth structure as a second part of my presentation. So these are all the possibilities are there. Then vibrations, the forced vibrations here externally. Here it is external. Externally, vibrations are there. External excitations. What are all the possible external excitations are there? And we have impulse vibration, we have inertial vibration, we have harmonic, periodic, and transient. But our earthquake, that we have to classify it as a transient vibration. What is a transient vibration? Transient vibration disappearing with time. So the vibration will start and disappear within 30 seconds. It is not, but impulse is different from transient. Impulse is very, very short. Time will be almost 0 second or 0.2 second or 0.3 second. That's what impulse is. Whereas transient vibration will go up to 30 seconds. So for a particular period of 30 seconds, you should understand what is happening with the structure, and how you can evaluate the basic properties and behaviors. The properties are displacement first. Very importantly, always we have to evaluate what is the amplitude of the vibration. So the transient, when you are interested in finding the earthquake excitation, how it will happen, how external earthquake excitation is happening, it is purely a transient vibration. So you have to understand importantly what is the basic theory of transient vibration. So that you have to find. So for that, there are several mathematical formulations are there. Let us not go into the mathematics much, but anyway, for dynamic equilibrium, also you have a force polygon. So for that, you have to understand the second diagram. That's what very important. Ku, Cu, and Mu. All these three things are equal to P. That's what very important. This is called as dynamic equilibrium equation. And that is also you can go with the polygon, force polygon. You can see that there are three forces: force due to static, force due to damping, force inertia. So all these three forces will be combining, and then the transmissibility and all is not useful. Actually, it is useful, but not much useful in the earthquake field. For machine foundations and all, that normally will be using transmissibility and all these things. Then what's very, very important, this you might have heard from many people. You have to isolate the vibration, because when the earthquake force happening for a period of 20 or 30 seconds, your number of cycles of vibration should be as less as possible. So thereby you have to isolate the vibration. How is it isolation? How the vibration can be isolated? The vibration can be isolated with the provision of the dampers. Dampers, active dampers, passive dampers, and all those things are there. So for that, you have to understand a little thing about the damping system. Then modes of vibrations is always very, very important. For a multiple degree of freedom, as I told that you may have 5 degrees of freedom, 8 degrees of freedom, 12 degrees of freedom. So as many number of degree of freedom that you have. For example, if your building may have 7 degrees of freedom. When you are having 7 degrees of freedom, you have 7 modes of vibration. But all the modes of vibrations are not at all important. The mode of vibration which gives more amplitude of vibration that you have to select. That's what is very, very important. So where the amplitude of vibration is very high, those type of mode shapes always you have to take care. If a building will have 100 modes of mode shapes, all those 100 mode shapes are not at all necessary. Only 6 or 7 mode shapes enough. When you are having 12-story frame, only 2 or 3 mode shapes is sufficient to define what will happen to your building. Because natural frequency, for first natural frequency, you have some amplitude. For second natural frequency, you have some amplitude. So for each natural frequency, and because for as many number of degrees of freedom, you have as many number of mode shapes. So at least 1 or 2, 3. That's what we are calling it as fundamental degree of freedom. So the fundamental natural frequency always you have to find. Based on the fundamental natural frequency, you can analyze. Because to analyze, it is different. I'll come, that is in the third part, but you try to understand what is mode of vibration. That's very important. As I told you, it is a 2 degree of freedom system. So you have 2 degree of, you have, so the first mode shape, omega-1 is given by the equation root of k by 2m. And the second, you can see that root of 2k by m. That's all. So that you have to find. That is mathematics. If you are very strong in your second order differential equation, it's easy for you to solve. So this is for, again, 2 degree of freedom system. Then what are all the tests are there to find the displacement and velocity as well as resonance? You have some. Now, this is the first part. So I think all you might have learned with what I talked about around 15 minutes. Always it is very, very important to understand the structural dynamics. You should know thoroughly about structural dynamics. What is frequency? What is natural frequency? What is time period? What is time? What is damping? What is stiffness? What is mass? And all these things you have to be very, very thorough. Then only you can come for the seismic concepts. When you are not knowing about the basics of the dynamics, it's very difficult to follow in the seismic concept. So therefore, first you make sure that first, for any civil engineer, it's very, very important for us to understand the statics. What is static equilibrium equation? F is equal to K into U. So F is equal to K into U, always you have to make sure and you have to be very thorough in this equation. Then you have to come, because for F is equal to K into U, you have a lot of equations to solve, or a lot of mathematical processes there. You have moment distribution method, you have stiffness method. So many things are there. So many things are there. So many things here that you have to learn in a static condition. After learning the static, you have to come to the basics of dynamics. Not much about the dynamics you need to learn. Only what I told, those part alone, that for a transient vibration, what are the things are needed? Those things that you have to learn. Similarly, to evaluate what is natural frequency, those things alone just learn. Then you can come back to learn about how you can design the buildings for the earthquake resistant concept. Now let us try to go into some science. First science, let us try to understand the science. So it's very important. First, we have to understand what is seismology. Seismology is nothing but it is a scientific study. That's what I told you. Let us try to understand what is the science behind earthquake. So you can see that where the earthquake is being originated. I think I'll go to the next slide and come back to the this slide again. You can see that the basic structure of the earth. So all we know that the earth will have the radius around 6,400 kilometers approximately. In the entire part of the 6,400 kilometers, the top part is known as lithosphere, and surface is known as crust of the earth. So lithosphere and crust is very, very important rather than all other things. So it is not necessary for us to know in detail about the inner core, outer core, and all these things are not necessary, but you just try to understand the basics. The radius of the earth is 6,400 kilometers. That is first thing. Very importantly, one has to understand what is the radius of the earth. The second thing that very, very important, that you have to understand that whatever the lot of geological changes will happen, it is geology. Geology will be classifying the most of the formation of the rocks into three groups: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. But that formation will take millions of years together. So many millions of years it will take for the earth has to do many things. So thereby, when you are thinking that, so the crust of the earth is always very, very important. So what is happening with the crust of the earth, and what is happening with the lithosphere? So in the lithosphere, top 100 kilometers, but importantly, for the top 80 kilometer distance in the earth, whatever the thing, which is whatever the modifications, whatever the movements, what is happening, that is what we are calling it as earthquake. So earthquake is nothing but it is a movement of the earth within the top 80 kilometer. In the horizontal, if you see that there are a lot of plates, are there, tectonic plates. These plates will make a movement in three forms. They are known as, I'll tell you that, it will be convergent movement, it will be a divergent movement, or a shear movement. So there are three movements are there: convergent, divergent, and transform movement. So any one of these three ways, the plates which will move. So thereby, where the earthquake hits the earth, it is called as epicenter. It is in the inside of the earth, inner part of the earth, in the lithosphere, that is called as hypocenter or focus. So you have to understand what is focus, what is focus, what is epicenter. You can see in this clearly, focus is below the earth, and wherever you are finding that is the field of the vibration, that is called as epicenter. Then seismic waves. Seismic waves which will be collected. There are two waves are there: primary waves and secondary waves. Primary waves, as usual, our analysis only. Based on our analysis, so what are the direct forces? Always we know that there are two direct forces. One is axial force and another one is shear force. So the axial force here will be called as P waves, and shear force is called as S waves. So there are two waves are there: primary waves and secondary waves. That you can see that. There are few things that you can see that. What are all the different types of waves which will be there? You can see that primary wave and shear wave. That is what the major waves. Then waves are there. So there are two types of waves are there. Then we have to understand that focal distance. What is the distance? Similarly, epicentral distance. All those things that you can understand. Similarly, shallow earthquake, it is focus is less than 70. That is what very important for us to understand. And then micro earthquake, very minimum amplitude that may not felt by the people. That is micro earthquake. And then fault is the zone, the failure zone, that is fault. Then the boundaries already I told that, and waves also I told. Now there are a lot of earthquakes which will happen in India. So many earthquakes are there. So many. So you try to understand that the Bujis earthquake, Kilari earthquake. So many earthquakes are there. What is very, very important that in these earthquakes that we have to understand that how long this earthquake happened. What is the time elapsed for this earthquake? What is the amplitude? How much amplitude it hits in all places? In all places. For that, again, we have to. You can see that this effect what we have. The behavior of the structures. I think this you might have received from many people. I think what will happen, because usually we know that horizontally the earthquake vibrates, so that the inertia force will go in the opposite direction. Therefore, you have to give much attention to the horizontal displacement, that is u. Then you have to find accordingly. This is again the basics only. So when you are having the smaller K, what will happen? When you are having bigger K, what will happen? Then you can see that this is what very, very important. So when your building height is 2 story, then typical natural period, because natural period it's very difficult for you to change, because you know that omega is equal to root of K by M. So once you improve the stiffness, then only natural period will be increasing. When your natural period is very high, it will be very good for you. That's what I told you. When you are having 3 seconds, it is good for you. So natural period is very, very important. Cycle of vibration will reduce this. When cycle of reduces, when you are having more period, more natural period, cycle of vibration will be reduces, then slower shaking will be there. When slower shaking is there, it is good for your brain. Such a way that you have to plan. That is about the natural period. Now let us complete about this science of the earthquake. So this is what very, very important. So that what is the part of the earth? What are the? This is what very important diagram for you to understand. What is earth is? What all the plates are there? How it moves? Then what are the basic definitions? These are all the science. Only science. Based on science that you have to understand all these things. Now let us go to the engineering part of this. These are the earthquakes which happened in the past in India. This is about the behavior. So now let us try to understand that. Examples. Later on I will come to this. Yeah, this is what very, very important. That is elastic rebound theory. So what will happen after the earthquake happened? Automatically it readjusts. Actually, whether the primary or secondary waves which are happening, automatically the earth is readjusting. That's what very, very important. So based on this, you have to measure the earthquake. How the earthquake is being measured. So for that, you have to understand what is seismograph and accelerometer. So based on a lot of seismic measuring devices are there in and around in almost all cities. Even in Coimbatore also we have earthquake which will be measured in airport. So we have even in the Tamil Nadu Agricultural University Center also that we have. So we have a device. Based on that we can find accelerograph is nothing but strong motion, and seismograph is a light motion. So less than 3 Richter scale value which is recorded in the seismograph, and more values are recorded in the accelerometer. That's what one has to understand. And 2 more other things also there. MMI scale and Richter scale. That's very, very important. Modified Mercalli scale and Richter scale, always very, very important. And mostly we'll be using the Richter scale. Then Medvedev Kramnik Spoon here on a MSK scale. That is also very important. So any scale you can use. It is MMI scale or Richter scale or MSK scale. It is up to us that anything that we can use. But the intensity of the earthquake is very, very important. Intensity of the earthquake, anything you can measure. So it is a scale of 1 to 12. And again, MMI scale, you can see that a lot of basic things. That is from 1 to 12. There are 2 things there. So how you can measure the magnitude of the earthquake. And what is very, very important, that there are very important things that you have to understand. The magnitude of intensity is always constant. For example, magnitude of Killary earthquake is constant. Magnitude of Bhuj earthquake is constant. Magnitude of any particular earthquake is always constant, but intensity of the earthquake is variable from place to place. For Bhuj earthquake, intensity is different from Ahmedabad to Chennai and to Bangalore to Pune, because neighboring cities it will have less magnitude. So it depends. So it may be higher, it may be low. But magnitude of a particular earthquake is always constant. That's what you have to understand. Magnitude of any earthquake is always constant. Intensity of the earthquake is a variable. So this is the important thing that you have to understand. Basically, the science. All these are science. Now let us go to the engineering part of the earthquake. So what will happen because of the earthquake in the past earthquake, past 20 to 30 years, what's happening with us? So that first we will discuss. Then we'll go to the design part. So you can see that what will happen. Actually, there are damages which will be there on shortfall effect. Then if you are not providing good connections, again it will be a problem. You can see that the braces are good because one in this bay, it is a rectangular bay. So one diagonal will be on compression, the other diagonal will be under tension. So obviously masonry or concrete will not take care of tension. So it's better for you to go with X-type structures or X-type connections. So it is good for us. If you are going by X braces, it is similarly. This is a short column failure. If you're introducing the shear walls, it will be good. Wood is also an excellent material to resist the earthquake. So some problems will be there. So soft story is a problem already we know. Even in IS 13920 also, the soft story should be eliminated. The difference in the stiffness between adjacent stories always should be very less as possible. So at least we should have shear walls and other connectors so as that stiffness at least will be matched. then there will be tilt-up construction. When you are having unsymmetrical structure, lot of things will happen like this. Actually, it is a torsional force. And in IS 13920, there is a provision, 1893 also, there is a provision that how you can take the torsional force into account. Then you can go with some retrofitting, like X braces or something like that, to take care of tension. Actually, during the earthquake, masonry is very strong in compression, as we all know that masonry and concrete both are very strong in compression. So that we have to resist the tension because it is a movement in the horizontal direction, like a horizontal movement. So if it moves in this side, it will be under tension. If it is moving, it is under compression. So compression will take, but tension will not take. But it is very impossible for us to undergo very less cycle of vibration. For example, if we are planning our building to undergo only 3 cycles of vibration, it is not possible. So because earthquake force, it's very difficult for us to predict. That's what we are calling it as earthquake resistant design. We can resist the earthquake. We cannot absorb the energy offered by the earthquake during that. That is very highly unimaginative, and the structure will be uneconomical. That is not possible. So that as far as possible, we'll try and make that structure that is more congenial towards earthquake forces. So when earthquake forces acts on our building, that we have to make that the structure will undergo less cycles of vibration. As less cycle of vibration, that we have to allow for our building. So you can see that in this diagram, that you can see that when you are having not isolated, you can see that the cycle of vibration is very, but if you are isolating, that's what I told you in the initial phase of my lecture, that you have to provide proper dampers. When you are providing proper dampers at the bottom, and if it carries the entire load, damper not only accepts the vibration or absorbs the vibration, apart from that, it has to carry the entire weight of the structure. So if you are doing a distributed theory very well, it will be good for us. So it is a base isolated buildings are very good and very fine. But already constructed buildings, there is no other go. It's very difficult for us to do this kind of activity. So thereby, what we have to do that we can construct shear walls and we can improve the performance. The performance based, that is what we are calling. I think you might have received many lectures. Basically with the rehabilitation of the structures, retrofitting. After rehabilitating, you have to go for retrofitting. So based on the requirement, how we can improve the performance of your columns, beams and slabs and all. And some other examples you can see that non-structural issues. I think about this already we have seen that. So based on all these things, you can find what is the acceleration and what is the intensity and earthquake. That is pure science. Then we have seen some engineering also. Next, let us try to understand that how our India is being divided into. That is total. So this is the example which is given that how we can locate the earthquake. So at least 3 seismic stations are necessary. So using that, we'll be combining and we will be doing it. So next is that how India is being divided. So India is being divided into 4 zones. So first zone is completely eliminated, that we have zones 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that this is what the thing I can see that zone 5, all the regions are there. So that similarly zone 4 also, what all the regions are there, Maharashtra. Then in the zone 3, actually Coimbatore, Andaman, Nicobar and all these things are in zone 3. Then zone 2 are like regions. I think many part of the India is under zone 3. You can see that how it is being done. So this is the first presentation of thing. I'll just go through very quickly about the other presentation, how the buildings which will be designed within maybe shortly 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, no problem, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, you have to use IS 1893 as the codal reference. But if you look into the IS 13990, that you have to understand few important things. How a column width is there. Similarly, as per IS 13920, as well as IS 1893, that is being recently revised at 2016. So there are, because mostly we'll be designing the building basically with one simple equation. That is, simple equation is known as what is horizontal, because horizontal shear is very, very important. Horizontal shear is given by a very simplified expression, AH into W. W is nothing but total weight of the structure. A is nothing but horizontal acceleration seismic coefficient. AH depends on one simple equation, Z by 2, I by R and SA by G. Z only that just now we have seen. There are 4 zones are there, zone 2, 3, 4 and 5. Zone 2, 3, 4, 5, for each zone, the factor is there. Then I is nothing but importance factor, that you can see that. I by R. R is nothing but response reduction factor, because we have to put the earthquake frequency in a band. So that's what very important. So in a particular band or a response spectra, which spectrum that you are using, so that you have to understand. Based on that, you have to provide the response spectrum. Then for irregular buildings and all, there will be a torsion. So the torsion that you have to understand, how the torsion that can be taken into account. Similarly, I told that it is response reduction factor because there are several things that are ordinary moment resisting frame. You are using ordinary reinforcement, regular reinforcement with reference to IS 456, it is called as ordinary moment resisting frame. Special moment resisting frame means you have to use, instead of stirrup, you have to use U-shaped stirrups. Then and angle of inclination also has to be 45 degrees. So some few things that you have to add extra. That is what we are calling it as special moment resisting frames. But you can use both RCC as well as steel. This is about existing code based on that is SA by G. SA by G is very important, because SA is nothing but seismic acceleration. G is nothing but ground acceleration. So SA that you have to find, because SA we may not be finding correctly. That's what we are using this spectra. But if you want, you can use it. That is what we are calling it as time history analysis. This is called as equivalent static analysis. There are three types of analysis are there. First analysis is known as equivalent static approach. Second analysis is response spectra. This one, under response spectra, you can use three mathematical principles. They are known as absolute method, CQC method, and SRSS method. Both SRSS method and CQC method are given in IS 1893. So you can use all those things, and you can find all these things, and finally you can find what is the this is based on this is the equation that you can find time period. What is time? As I told you, time period is constant. So what is the structural system that you have to use? Then detailing, about the detailing. Similarly, you can see that this is IS 456. Similarly, what is the differences are there in with reference to IS 1893 that you have to follow, because for a few things you have to follow IS 456, for a few things you have to follow IS 1893. All these things are there in my presentation. I just try to go through because time is running out very short. But we know that the steel frame has to be very ductile. Concrete frame has to be very ductile. So that ductility is an important thing. That your building should have at least ductility factor is around 6. That will be good. When you are going for a special moment resisting frame, you can improve your ductility. And one more thing also, we always will go for strong column, big beam concept. But column has to be very strong, because column, I told you the stiffness of the column is 12E by L43. So the 12E by L43 has to be more superior than the beams. Beams in the horizontal direction. Stiffness of the beam is given by the expression 4E by L and 2E by L. So that has to be more. And the detailing also, you can see that with reference to IS 13920. These are the detailings that we have to follow. That is with reference to beam. Similarly, next for columns also, you have to use special confining reinforcement. What are the things that we need to follow? Everything is given in IS 1893. So how the detailing has to be done, what is the minimum reinforcement, and all these things, everything that you have to see that. Then a development length also. A development length you can calculate 5 into sigma s beta 4 tau PD, that is with reference to IS 456. Apart from this, you have to include another 10 times the diameter of the bar as an additional length. That is what the important thing, that when you are thinking about the anchoring the bars. So then how you have to provide the labs, and how you have to calculate, because I told you that it is 4E by L is the stiffness. But apart from that, there will be an additional increment because it is shear. Horizontal shear which is acting, that horizontal shear you have to convert it as a vertical shear. So to convert the horizontal shear into vertical shear, when the frame is moving left to right or right to left, whatever the equations that you have to develop, you can see that I told you already, when you are using U stirrups and cross tie, it is called as a special moment resisting thing. Normally we will be using hook, that is a general reinforcement, that is with reference to IS 456. So you have to follow both the basic principles of IS 456 and IS 13920. These are how you have to follow with the continuous beams, then non-prismatic cantilever beams, and all these things, haunches, then shear and torsion reinforcement. For cantilever also, you can see that how the layered reinforcement that you have to provide, then extra ties you have to provide, that you can see it in the bottom diagram. Similarly, when you are having some openings, around the openings, that stresses will be more, that you can have learned from theory of plasticity what is coronal stresses. So that the pattern that what is being followed. Similarly, what you have to follow when you are having columns. So the bars has to be taken inside, it should not be taken to the outside. All these things, everything is available in IS 13920. Similarly, footing also. So how you have to improve your footing, what is the development length, what is the cover that you have to provide. And then what is the section? And similarly for staircases also, you can see that what you have to use. You should not use the first diagram, the second thing that you have to use. Similarly, walls. Shear walls are very, very important. I told you already, shear walls you have to construct very well. Very importantly, most importance that you have to give it to the, and what is the steel requirement, the percentage is there. A minimum 0.25% that you have to use, and respective formulas, because it is only shear. So what it is, stirrups in the form of stirrups are in the horizontal. Horizontal direction you should have bars. So how you can calculate and how many cycles of vibration, you can see that the ductility is very, very important. And modes of the failure, how will you find the gross area of the shear wall? There are different types of shear walls are there. So anything that you can follow accordingly with how much force is there, coupled to shear wall, general solid shear wall, then shear wall with boundaries. Several types are there. So what that is, you can see the coupling beams, additional beams you can add at the ends. That is what the couple shear wall is there. So this is what I want to share, but I think I had gone very fast in the third part. I think you might have understood my first two parts of my presentation. I think the forum, I can open the forum for the discussion now. Now the time is exactly 12. So
no problem. If you have some points, we can cover it. No issue, sir. If you have anything to cover. Yeah.
No problem, sir. I think
okay.
Because
one thing.
1 minute, sir. 1 minute, sir. I'll come back to this.
Sure.
Please. Okay, sir.
Right, sir.
I think
that was a good presentation. In fact, you covered from the basic to the codal provision also, IS 13920. I think the salad features. And most importantly, how many do you think are following now in our practical sites?
Yes, sir.
Especially,
yes, sir. Actually, whenever I go, I educate them, sir. There are few things that always we have to educate the practical. I think Professor told in the introductory lecture that we need to take care of concrete, because from my point of view, instead of producing M20 we use 6 or 7 bags of cement. But with the 6 or 7 bags of cement, you can produce M40, sir. That's easy. Only thing, if you have a control over water. So that is the need of the for us to educate the practicing engineer, so as that produce quality concrete. Even if it is specified in the specification as M20, go for M30 or M40. Definitely it will take care of so many cycles of vibration. Higher grade of concrete always will take care of higher vibrations, sir. I think now we are in the era of making our manpower system fully mechanical. I think you'll agree in all areas, whether it is plastering, whether it is any area, our manpower is less. We are going on a more mechanized operation. So when we are going for more mechanized operation, that U stirrups and cross ties are easy, sir. Rather than going for regular stirrups, once if you are able to provide the U hooks and cross ties, I think it will act as a special moment resisting frame. I think it will be very good. I think in the years to come, maybe in another 3 to 5 years down the year, definitely I think that we will be doing all the moment resisting frames at the site. I think before 20 years we started with RMC, sir. Now I think almost everywhere we are using RMC. Even RMC is being installed at the site. Maybe more mechanized operation. Manual operation is completely eliminated in the concreting. So that was the good sign for us. Similarly, the second sign definitely we receive in another 3 to 5 years. People will definitely use more mechanized operation in the area of bar bending. So if we do that, definitely I think mostly we can correct all these things. We can bridge the gap between the academicians and engineers, sir.
And the thing is that how do you rate concrete as a material for construction as compared to other materials from earthquake resistant point of view?
Yeah, sir, steel is a ductile material. It elongates like anything. Even it undergoes elongation up to 20%, sir. If it is lower grade, imagine that we are using 200 strength or 250 strength, it elongates to almost 20%. But concrete will elongate only maximum 6%. After 6% collapses, damage occurs. So thereby steel and other alloys are good. But alloys we can't make, that is not at all possible. Maybe composites we may think, but composites are brittle than concrete, sir. If you are going for glass fiber reinforced plastic, aramid fiber, all those are very brittle materials. To some extent, if we are thinking that the structure is very, very important, we can go for carbon fibers. You want to arrest the earthquake forces, or you want to resist the earthquake forces in a finer way or a better way, definitely can allow carbon fibers to take place. Carbon fiber is an excellent material which possesses very, very high tensile strength, almost 3000 MPa. It's almost 10 times better material than steel, but it is also a brittle. So that's a sad, but only thing that it is because lightweight. There are two advantages are there with fiber materials. They are light in weight. They are highly durable than steel, highly durable than concrete. So we can plan. Maybe the fibers are taking place even in our industry also, sir. Many people, I think it came up to boat now. From aircraft industry, it comes to ship industry. Maybe in another down the year, maybe 10 or 20 years, definitely be in the construction industry also, all the fibers, especially e-glass fibers are so popular now. So after e-glass fibers, we will start definitely using aramid fibers as well as carbon fibers. So fibers are good material, but we have to understand that's what the importance factor is given in the equation itself. So how important our building is. Sometimes people may ask us, our life of the building is 100 years, sir. Our building may not experience earthquake at all in the 100 years. Then why do we need to worry about the earthquake? So that is also a question. But major cities and important buildings, even if it is not happening, we have to follow the earthquake guidelines.
Which are the areas which are more vulnerable to earthquake, in your opinion?
Obviously, we know that the northeastern part of our country, entire northeast, that belongs to zone 5. Himalayas anytime may happen some moments. It is a plate, sir. Actually, southern part of India is made of Deccan plate. Deccan plate is very strong. So southern part of India is less vulnerable than the northern part of India. So North India that we have to take care much rather than the south part. But south part also, because we are doing a lot of drilling to take water, to take mining. If you see in Tamil Nadu, Neyveli open mining is there. In all places, we are putting a lot of bores. Nowadays, in 20 or 30 years back, we put a borehole for maximum height of 200 feet. Hardly maximum 60 or 70 meter. Nowadays, people are drilling for 500 meters to take water. Imagine, sir, you see that for top 80 kilometers, we have to take much care, but they are drilling like anything. 500, 600 meters, they are drilling to take water. So all are getting vacuum. Deccan plate is a very strong plate, but we are making a lot of holes on it. Definitely, this area also will get affected. But we have to think that. Considering as of today's scenario, our place is placed better than North India.
Another thing is that there was one query on IS 13920. I think the salient features which you are showing. Can you just sum up as to what are the salient features in that which construction professionals must follow? Once again,
sir, actually, usually practicing engineers will follow. Suppose if stirrups are important, sir. Other things they will definitely laps 50% only means they will follow. No problem. Only stirrups we have to educate them. Stirrups has to be provided in the beams. At the support so close, center somewhat spacious. That we have to educate them. Similarly, column also in the bottom and top. The cross ties or lateral ties should be so close, around 75 millimeter spacing that you should have. So that they never do it, sir. All professionals, because there is no time for them. So they will do that. Ask them, provide at 150 mm center to center. So everywhere you can find 6 inches or 150 mm. But we have to educate them, educate the steelsmith people, blacksmith people, such a way that they have to use closely spaced steps at the edges at least. So that we have to educate. Other than that, I think they are following good, sir. And our centering, scaffolding which are improved a very lot now. Compared to 20 years back, the system, even we have scaffolding engineers, scaffolding designers are there. So scaffolding and everything is good, sir, except on this part. How we have to provide the stirrup spacing, spacing of stirrups and spacing of ties that we have to take more care, then it will be okay, sir.
Okay. Dr. Rajendra Prabhu had to made a statement. He said government should compulsorily certify or rate all buildings for its extent to resist earthquake and should be displayed at some part of the building for public view. Any comments from your side?
Sir, definitely. For public buildings, definitely we have to apply, sir. Apply this concept. Then we have to design the building based on public buildings, definitely. Because at any time, for example, a bank, if you go to day 1 to 10 of any month, at least 300 people will be there, sir. So it is a very important building. We may think that after 10th up to the end of the month, very few people will go. But first 10 days are very important in the banking sector. Likewise, any building, even if you go to a shopping mall, evenings will be huge crowd, sir. Daytime only less crowd. So for any public building, definitely we have to ask them to go at least once. Even the designed and constructed building also, we can make use that the building has to be designed or it has to be verified for earthquake risk. That's what I told in the lecture also. Retrofitting and rehabilitation, we have to give much importance. After rehabilitation, if any retrofitting is necessary, definitely we have to do it, sir.
Before starting construction of a building for the individual house builder, which codal provision must he give more importance? Because there are so many codal provisions. IS 456 is there,
Yes,
IS 13920 is there.
Even for a small engineer or a startup of engineer or even maybe a owner or client, always first we have to follow NBC guidelines. National
guidelines.
That was recently published in the year 2016.
Correct.
There the buildings are classified into 9 groups. First is residential building, second is commercial building, third is institutional building. Likewise, our buildings are being classified into so many groups. So what we have to educate the engineers that first we have to go through the guidelines given by NBC. Then we can ask them to, because for first type of building, residential building, what we have to perform, what has to be done, everything is available in National Building Code of India. Accordingly, that we can ask the either client or engineer to follow the requirements, sir.
That's nice, because as you rightly pointed out, it should begin with National Building Code and then they can go for respective codes based on the classification of the building.
Yes, sir. Even client also, we can ask them to go through National Building Code of India. Then they can ask, sir, whether this is provided, this class is there, what will happen in my site? They can ask us, sir. So we can give clarity. So we'll have a clarity because there is for everything mathematical model is there, sir. So which mathematical model we are following or formulating, everything is available in NBC. So if you are following NBC correctly, everything, whatever the problem is there in the site, easily sorted out, sir.
So the first step is classification of the building into the respective categories.
Yes, sir.
And then refer NBC and then go for the respective code. I think that is a very good.
Yes, sir. Definitely. In NBC itself, there is codes are there, sir. For residential building, what are the codes we need to follow? Everything is there, sir. We can follow. For example, if you are following masonry, 1905 is there, sir. If you are following timber, 883 is there, sir. So a lot of codes are there, but that itself they are classifying. If you are using these materials, follow this code.
So thank you so much, Dr. Mutturaj, for your time and very informative presentation and discussions that followed. In fact, I'm sure that, as you rightly said, that we must give importance to the earthquake resistance, because many times what happens is that we take it for granted, as you rightly said. If in 100 years, why should we pay so much attention? But of late, I think there is a need to give more attention.
Yes, sir. Yes, definitely.
And incorporate that element of earthquake resistant design in most of the structures that is being built. I think there is a long way to go, because there is one is, as you rightly said, the construction practices that is being followed. If it is improved to a greater extent, I think a lot of challenges can be overcome. So first step is how do we take care of the basic honeycombing problem that is happening in concrete, which many of the small sites is having that.
Yes, sir. I think for RMC people have to take much care about removing, as well as scaffolding engineers also take care. There should be actually concurrence between the field engineers, then scaffolding people and RMC people. Then it will be easy, sir. If they are converging, it is good for the industry, sir.
So thank you so much, Dr. Mutturaj, for sparing your time and for coming online. In fact, I am sure that even during this time you would be having online classes, but you were able to spare some time to share.
Actually, 2015 I have another meeting, sir, for my TST scholar.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, I have to join them, sir.
thank you so much, sir, for sparing your time and wishing you all the best and joining us. Thank you, sir.
1 minute, sir. 1 minute, sir. I thank all the people in the Ramco Cements for giving me this opportunity, especially people who are working in Coimbatore region. I thank very much. They arranged this lecture. I personally thank both Mr. Suraj as well as you, sir, Professor Anil Kumar, and Professor who introduced me also. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ramco Cement. I congratulate Ramco Cements once again for achieving 100 webinars in a very short time. I think that I'm given more, or I feel very good that I had given 100 lecture in your Ramco Cement, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I think in the years also I'm ready to cooperate with you in the forthcoming time. Even if you are arranging 1 or 2 more lectures, definitely I'll be participating. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And all the webinars would be there on FB Live as well as YouTube for the viewers to see. And as well as you can refer to your fellow construction professionals. Thank you so much. So I sign off from today's webinar, today's 100th webinar. I sign off and wishing you all the best, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Good day.